A very good day, dear students. In this video you shall learn about the basics of fabrication process, the different types of joining process, that is welding, the basics of welding, the basic essential different types of welding, the brazing process and the soldering process. Also you shall see about the various differences in all the three: welding, brazing and soldering process. So this shall cover a part of your fourth module of the subject elements of mechanical engineering. Dear students, in this video we shall see about the various engineering materials that is used in the manufacturing field. We shall see the different types of materials that are ferrous materials and non-ferrous materials, their different applications and usages shall be completed in this video of this fourth module. So we can broadly classify engineering materials as ferrous materials and non-ferrous materials, or ferrous alloys and non-ferrous alloys. All the materials pertaining to base material steel or iron are referred as ferrous materials. Majority of the engineering materials pertain to this ferrous materials, and non-ferrous materials or non-ferrous alloys are the ones that do not have any steel content, or base material is not a steel. For example, copper materials, zinc, aluminium, nickel, etc. form the non-ferrous alloys. So before we choose any engineering material, we have to understand what are the properties that we are looking in those engineering materials, and what properties are desired or what properties we want in that particular material. So if we see, there are basic properties that we look in an engineering material. The first one is strength. So it is the ability of the material to resist the load that is being applied. It should be able to carry the load without any failure or without any fracture. So this is attributed to the property known as strength. Similarly, the next property is stiffness. Here it is the force per unit deformation of the structure. So if the structure is getting deformed due to application of load, then it pertains to the stiffness. So it is referred as force per unit deformation of the structure. Next is hardness. Hardness is referred as its ability to resist plastic deformation and abrasion. So any defect on the surface should be prevented by the material. It should not have any abrasion on the surface. So this property is attributed to hardness. Next is ductility. So ductility is the material property that is considered the ability to draw the material into wires. So if a material can be drawn into wires with much ease, then it is considered as a more ductile material. Next is malleable material. So a material that can be drawn into thin sheets is considered as malleable. So if a material is being able to converted to thin sheets, then it is a malleable material. Next is toughness. So the amount of energy required to rupture a material under static load is measured by toughness. So the amount of load that is required to rupture or break the material is considered as toughness of the material. Next is resilience. So it is the amount of energy absorbed in stressing a material up to the elastic limit. So any material has an elastic limit. So the amount of energy that is required to stretch the material up to its elastic limit is measured by resilience. Next property is elasticity. It is a property of the material by virtue of which deformation caused by stress disappears on the removal of the stress. So it is the ability of the material to spring back to its original position and shape on the removal of stress. It is measured by elasticity of the material. Next is plasticity. So it is a property that enables the material to undergo permanent deformation without any rupture. So if there is a deformation and it does not spring back to its original position, then it is considered as the plastic property or plasticity property of the material. But given the condition that it should not break or it should not rupture. Next is the conductivity property. We have two types. One is thermal and electrical conductivity. So thermal conductivity is ability of the material to carry heat or to conduct heat across itself, and electrical conductivity is the property of the material to conduct electricity across itself. So these are the various properties by which the engineering materials can be defined. So next we have ferrous metals and alloys. Most of the structural material is from the base of steel, forms the base from steel. Steel or cast iron, all are same. So they have, iron has the most important base in all these materials. Okay. So that is why ferrous metals form a very important role in the mechanical engineering domain. So ferrous metals and alloys contain principal elements of iron, so which includes carbon steel, stainless steel, cast iron, wrought iron, etc. So these metals or alloys possess good tensile strength and are very durable. They possess good magnetic properties, hence they are very much suitable for almost all the electrical appliances. They can be recycled easily and are vulnerable, but one greatest disadvantage is they are vulnerable to rust when exposed to atmospheric moisture and oxygen. So rust is one of the biggest negative factor on all the ferrous materials. So principally iron is found in iron ore, either hematite ore or ferrous ore, which is later reduced to pig iron and then further processed. So pig iron is used to produce wrought iron, cast iron and steel. Wrought iron is pig iron that is melted and combined with metal oxides that reduces the carbon percentage, making the resulting wrought iron more usable and less brittle. It can be easily welded, it can be hot forged, and it can resist impact loading. Wrought iron is used to make bolts, nuts, chains, hooks, boiler tubes, boiler plates, etc. We shall see about the other properties of steel in the next coming slides. So steel are iron carbon alloys that contain appreciable amount of other alloying elements or more amount of other alloying elements. The mechanical properties are susceptible to heat treatment, alloying elements percentage, especially carbon percentage, which is normally less than 10% of the weight of the entire material. So based on the carbon percentage, the steels are classified as low carbon steel, medium carbon steel and high carbon steel. Plain carbon steel contains residual concentrations of impurities other than carbon and magnesium. And for alloy steels, more alloying elements are intentionally added in specific concentration in order to alter their properties and to get better material properties. So low carbon steel generally contains less than 0.25% of carbon and are very unresponsive to heat treatments, strengthening process, and strengthening is accomplished by cold work process itself. These alloys are relatively soft and weak but have outstanding ductility and toughness. They are machinable, they can be welded easily, they are less expensive to manufacture or to produce. Plain carbon steels have yield strength of approximately 275 megapascals and tensile strength will vary between 415 megapascals to 550 megapascals and ductility of 25% elongation. High strength low alloy steel or HSLA typically contain other alloying elements like copper, nickel, molybdenum, vanadium, etc. in certain combined concentration has 10% weight of the actual steel and they possess better strength. HSLA may be strengthened by further by heat treatment, giving tensile strength in excess of 480 megapascal can be achieved by heat treatment. They are ductile, they can be easily formed or formable, and they are easily machinable. HSLA are resistant to corrosion as compared to the plain carbon steel. So the applications, they are used in the automobile body components, they are used in structural shapes, that is I-beams and various beams used for the structural used in structures, sheets that are used in pipelines, buildings, bridges and in tin cans, low temperature pressure vessels, nails, wires, structures at low ambient temperatures, truck frames, railway cars, structures that are bolted or riveted, all these use low carbon steel. The next category is medium carbon steel. So these generally contain 0.25% to 0.6% of carbon. They can be heat treated in order to improve their mechanical properties. So heat treatment has an effect unlike the low carbon steel. In low carbon steel heat treatment has no effect, but in medium carbon steel you can give heat treatment to improve the properties. The plain medium carbon steels have low hardenability and can be heat treated only in very thin sections and with rapid quenching rate. Rapid quenching in the sense it has to be cooled down at a rapid rate. Okay. Addition of chromium, nickel, molybdenum improves the capacity of these alloys that are required to be heat treated, and it gives rise to a variety of strength ductility combinations. The heat treated alloys are stronger than the low carbon steels, but they sacrifice the ductility and toughness. These alloys possess good combination of high strength, wear resistance, toughness, etc. We shall see the application of this in the next slide. So applications, they are used in railway wheels and tracks, they are used in manufacturing of gears, engine parts like manufacturing of engine parts like crankshafts, bolts, chisels, hammers, knives, hacksaw blades, springs, hand tools, bushings, aircraft tubings and other engine parts like shafts, pistons, gears, etc. So these are the applications of the medium carbon steel. Next is high carbon steel. So they generally contain 0.6% to 1.4% carbon. They are the hardest and strongest and the least ductile of the carbon steels. They are wear resistant, capable of holding sharp cutting edge. So mostly they are used in manufacturing the tools. So alloying elements such as chromium, vanadium, tungsten and molybdenum are added generally to form hard and wear resistant carbide components or compounds. These alloys possess low toughness and poor formability characteristics. So this is the application part of high carbon steels. As you can see, most of the tools use high carbon steels. You can see drill tools, lathe tools, saw tools, planar tools, similarly punches, embossing dies, cutlery, drawing dies, shear blades, cutting tools, pipe cutters, concrete drills, blacksmith's tools, woodworking tools, knives, razors, hacksaw blades, springs and high strength wires. So here you can see most of the tools use high carbon steel. Most of the tools use high carbon steel. So next is stainless steel. So stainless steels are highly resistant to corrosion. That means they do not rust so easily. So the predominant alloying element here is chromium with at least 11% of the weight concentration. So this prevents the rusting or corrosion of the steel. So corrosion resistance property can be further improved by adding nickel and molybdenum. On basis of predominant phase, the constituent of microstructure can be classified as martensitic stainless steel, ferritic stainless steel and austenitic stainless steel. So the martensitic stainless steel, they can be heat treated. They have 12 to 18% of chromium. They possess high strength, moderate toughness and poor weldability. They are used in surgical tools and in cutlery. Whereas austenitic stainless steel contains 16 to 25% chromium, 7 to 20% nickel. They possess better corrosion resistance than other stainless steels. They are weldable and also exhibit excellent surface finish. Typically, applications are shafts, pumps, fasteners, equipments for food processing chemicals, food industry and for dairy products. So next is ferritic stainless steel. So these are alloys that contain 12 to 30% of chromium and carbon is kept in low concentrations. They possess poor ductility, poor weldability and they cannot be hardened by heat treatment. Ferritic stainless steel are used in heat transfer equipments in chemical and petrochemical industries and are very less expensive as compared to the other two versions of stainless steel. We shall see the applications of the steel. We can use this in automotive exhaust components, tanks for agricultural sprays, in walls of high temperature applications, in glass molds, in combustion chambers, in chemical and food processing equipments, in cryogenic vessels, in welding construction, rifle barrels, cutleries, jet engine parts, in bearings, surgical tools, knives, springs, pressure vessels, etc. So basically these are the various applications of the stainless steel. Next we shall see a different grade of steel known as the tool steel. So tool steels are basically high carbon steels. They are modified by alloy additions and heat treatments to get required strength and toughness. They are water hardening tool steels, high carbon steels, manganese tool steels. So manganese tool steel have 0.75 to 1% of carbon and 1 to 2% of manganese. High speed steel HSS 0.7% carbon, 18% 18% tungsten, 4% chromium and 1% vanadium. Similarly, hot work tool steels 0.5% carbon, 9 to 18% tungsten and 3 to 4% chromium. Shock resisting tool steels 0.4 to 0.56% carbon, alloying with chromium, vanadium and silicon. So various tool steels can be produced by getting or addition of various alloying materials to the base component, that is steel. So we shall see the properties of the tool steel. They are resistant to wear, they have good resistance to abrasion, they have high strength at higher temperature, better thermal shock resistance properties, high toughness, low frictional coefficient are some of the properties of tool steel. Next is cast iron. So cast iron are class of ferrous alloys with carbon concentration above 2.14% in practice. However, most cast irons contain between 3 to 4.5% carbon in addition to other alloying elements. Generally, they become liquid at temperature approximately between 1150 degrees Celsius to 1300 degrees Celsius. In the sense, they have a melting point between 1150 degrees Celsius to 1300 degrees Celsius. Hence, they can be easily melted and can be cast into the desired shape. Hence, they have good castability. Further, some cast irons are very brittle and casting is more convenient fabrication technique. It has low ductility property and it has poor machinability property with fair mechanical properties. According to their microstructure, they can be further classified into grey cast iron, ductile or nodular cast iron, compacted graphite cast iron, white and malleable cast iron. We shall see the properties and applications of each of this cast iron in the following slides. So the grey cast iron, here the carbon and silicon contents of grey cast iron vary between 2.5% to 4% and 1% to 3% respectively. So carbon content varies from 2.5 to 4%, silicon content varies from 1% to 3%. Carbon is present in the form of graphite flakes, hence fracture surface appearance is grey when fracture happens. That is why it is given the name of grey cast iron. They are relatively weak and brittle in tension. Graphite flakes are sharp and pointed and may act as points of stress concentration when external tensile stress or load is applied. Strength and ductility are much higher under the compressive loads. They are effective in damping vibrational energy and have good compressive strength. They have excellent wear resistance and have good thermal conductivity and machinability properties. Next, applications. They are used in the manufacturing of pulleys, pistons, piston rings, engine cylinders, main frames of the vehicle, household appliances, small cylindrical blocks, cylindrical heads, transmission cases, clutch plates, diesel engine castings, liners, cylinder heads, etc. Next is ductile or nodular cast iron. So addition of some amount of magnesium or nickel and or cerium to the grey cast iron before casting produces ductile or nodular cast iron. So graphite still forms but has nodules or spears like particles instead of flakes. They are relatively tough and stronger as compared to the grey cast iron. They have better corrosion resistance properties and low temperature impact properties. Ductile cast irons have mechanical characteristics that is more or less close to that of the steel. The applications pertains to manufacturing of valves, manufacturing of pump bodies, manufacturing of crankshafts, manufacturing of gears, manufacturing of furnace doors, manufacturing of construction machineries, manufacturing heavy machinery frames, manufacturing of compressors, etc. White and malleable cast iron. So the fractured surface of low silicon cast irons with rapid cooling rates has a whitish appearance and thus it is termed as white cast iron. White iron is extremely hard but also very brittle to the point of being virtually unmachinable. It is very difficult to machine it. Its uses is limited to applications that necessitate a very hard and wear resistant surface without a high degree of ductility. For example, rollers in rolling machines, etc. So generally white iron is used as an intermediary in the production of another cast iron, that is malleable iron. Grey and ductile cast irons are produced in approximately same amounts. However, white and malleable cast irons are produced in very small quantities since they have very limited industrial applications. So applications pertain to general engineering service at normal and elevated temperatures, pump impellers, crushing and grinding equipments, brake shoes for vehicles, automobile rear axle housings, low pressure valves, pipe fittings, wrenches, switch gears, wheel hubs and connecting rods. Next is compacted graphite cast iron or compacted CGI. So relatively recent addition to the family of cast iron is compacted CGI or compacted graphite cast iron. Silicon content varies from 1.7% to 3% in weight percentage and carbon concentration varies from 3.1 to 4%. Magnesium and cerium is also added but concentrations are lower as compared to the ductile iron. Tensile strength and yield strength for compact graphite iron are comparable to values of the ductile iron and malleable iron, yet they are greater than the ones observed for higher strength grey cast irons. In addition, ductility for compacted graphite cast irons are intermediate between values of grey cast iron and ductile irons. Also, the moduluses of elasticity or moduli of elasticities range between 140 to 165 gigapascals, which is quite higher. Compared to other cast iron types, CGI possesses higher thermal conductivity, better resistance to thermal shock, lower oxidation at high temperatures. We shall see the applications of this in the next slides. So applications, they are used in diesel engine blocks, in exhaust manifolds, in gearbox housings, in brake discs for high speed trains, for manufacturing of the flywheels, etc. So these are some of the pictures. Here you can see the base structures of machinery and heavy equipment that are subjected to vibrations are manufactured from this. You can see the disc brakes, brake drum. You can see the disc brakes, brake drums, etc. from which all of these are manufactured. These are some of the examples. Here in this picture you can see some other examples for cast iron, cooking utensils, hot tea kettles, these are some other examples: the lathe bed, the engine block. Okay, just like we have ferrous metals, we have non-ferrous metals and alloys also. So steel and other ferrous alloys are consumed in large quantities because they have a wide range of mechanical properties and they can be fabricated with much ease and are economical to produce. However, they have certain limitations because of their high density, they have low electrical conductivity, and they are susceptible to corrosion, or corrosion is the biggest weakness of all the steel elements. So for many applications it is advantageous or even necessary to utilize other alloys that are more suitable for such applications. So alloy systems can be classified either according to the base metal or according to the specific characteristic that a group of alloys share. We shall see the various types of alloys in the following slides. So the first type of alloy is copper and its alloys. Pure copper is dense. It is reddish, malleable and ductile metal and non-magnetic. The melting point of copper is 1084 degrees Celsius and it exhibits high thermal conductivity, high electrical conductivity, good formability and low mechanical properties. Further, it is highly resistant to corrosion in very diverse environments including ambient atmosphere, seawater applications and other industrial chemical applications. This makes it more suitable for very harsh environment, and properties can be further improved by adding alloying elements like zinc, tin, aluminum, etc. to the copper base. We shall see the applications of copper and its alloys in the next slide. So here you can see the applications. They are used in manufacturing electrical cables, bus bars for conducting electricity and other signals, for radiator of automobile, for heat exchangers, for pipes and tubes to carry hot fluids and cold fluids, in cooking utensils like cooking pots and pans, etc. can be manufactured using copper alloys. So here the application of copper. Copper tubes are used in refrigerators and air conditioners. You can see the example here below. Copper tubes that are used in electrical wires and cables. Copper is also used in roofing, in sheathing and flushing drains, It is used in breweries, in brewing plants and in chemical plants for storage of the liquid and transfer of the liquid. It is used to make alloys like brass, bronze, that are used to make sculptures, statues, doorknobs, bells, etc. So next, brass. Brass is the alloy of copper and zinc. The variation in zinc content will result in desired color, strength, ductility, machinability and corrosion resistance and castability of brass. So brasses are known for their ease of fabrication and excellent plating characteristics. Some of the common brasses are yellow, naval and cartridge brass, Muntz metal and gliding metal. We shall see the applications of this in the next slide. So here we can see the application. It is used in plumbing fixtures and decorative hardwares, in radiator cores and heat exchanger tubes, low pressure valves and bearings, lamp fixtures and springs, filler metal in brazing, in cooking pots and pans, etc. Here we can see electrical fittings, wall fittings, pipe fittings, tap fittings, etc. Manufactured from brass. They are not reactive to any kind of environment. Hence, it will give a superior grade of fitting. Radiator shells, head, lamp reflectors, etc. made from brass is also seen in this slide. Brass is also used in marine fittings, in marine applications, ship components like anchors, etc. They are used in fire extinguishers. They are used in musical instruments, musical manufacturing of musical instruments. You can see the description and picture of both of this in the slide. The next is bronze. So bronze is the alloy of copper and tin. It is based on the addition of alloying elements. Bronzes are classified as tin bronze, aluminum bronze, phosphor bronze, beryllium bronze, etc. So these alloys are somewhat stronger than the brass, and these alloys can achieve high strength combined with the good corrosion resistance. So it is basically a alloy of copper and tin. So applications include plumbing fixtures, decorative hardwares, radiator cores and heat exchanger tubes, low pressure valves and bearings, lamp fixtures and springs, filler material in brazing applications, cooking pots, pans, in cooking utensils, etc. Next is phosphor bronze. So it is an alloy of copper, tin and traces of phosphor. So phosphor bronze have high fatigue resistance, excellent formability, high corrosion resistance. They are used in corrosion resistance bellows, diaphragms, spring washers, bearings, worm wheels and clutch drives. Aluminum bronze is also an alloy of copper, nickel, iron and aluminum. Aluminum bronze provides high strength, excellent corrosion resistance and wear resistance. Aluminum bronzes are used in marine hardwares, pump and valve components for handling seawater, propeller shafts and heavy duty sleeve bearings. Next is beryllium bronze. So it is an alloy of copper and beryllium. Beryllium bronzes provide good strength and hardness. Beryllium bronzes are used in Borden tubes, welding equipment, bellows, springs, Next is gunmetal. Gunmetal is an alloy of copper, tin and zinc. So these alloys are used for valves, bearings, pumps, gears, boiler fittings and guns. Next is bell metal. Bell metal is an alloy of copper and tin. They are used for making bells, cannons, utensils, etc. Next is aluminium and its alloys. So aluminium is an metal and its alloys are characterized by low density, high electrical and thermal conductivity and resistance to corrosion in the most common environments, including ambient atmospheres. Hence it is lighter in weight and it is used in all the intricate parts. So aluminum is light silvery white metal with a low melting point of around 660 degrees Celsius. Pure aluminum has good malleability, formability, high corrosion resistance, high electrical conductivity and high thermal conductivity. Their strength to weight ratio is very high and mechanical strength of aluminum is high at low temperatures. It is a non-magnetic and non-sparking metal, hence it is used in most of the aircraft applications. So here you can see applications. It is widely used in automobile industry, it is used in aircraft industries, it is used in cryogenic industries and space applications, it is used in household utensils, in beverage cans for the cold drinks and other packaging materials. It is also used in electric cables, high voltage applications. It is also used as a structural material wherein low weight is required for the structure. Here are some of the pictographic views of applications of aluminum. You can see in metallurgical applications, in electrical industries, it is used in aircraft industries, in automobile industries for manufacturing the frames of the body, etc., integrate parts of the body. Because of its high strength to weight ratio, we can have lower weight at the same time higher strength. Hence it is used in the widely utilized in aircraft industry. These are some of other applications wherein it is used in packaging of food, tin cans for all the beverages like Coke, Pepsi, beers, etc. Domestic use in utensils, aluminum utensils are used. Then you can see aluminum ladders that are used because of their lightweight and strength. Aluminum doors, sheathing materials for buildings, etc., can be made of aluminum. So classification of aluminum alloys. So common alloying elements used in commercial aluminum are copper, magnesium, silicon, manganese and zinc. So these elements help to improve the mechanical properties of aluminum. Aluminum can be divided into two major groups, that is wrought alloys and cast alloys. Within each group, the alloy can be subdivided further into heat treatable alloys and non-heat treatable alloys. So wrought aluminum alloys are those that are shaped as solids by plastic deformation. They have low yield strength, good ductility, good fracture resistance, good strain hardening process properties. Extrusion, forging and deep drawing operations can be carried out easily with good dimensional tolerances. Wrought aluminum alloys, casting aluminum alloys have low melting points, high fluidity and high strength. Aluminum casting alloys contain sufficient silicon percentage to have high has cast strength. Copper and zinc are used as other alloying elements. Next is lead and its alloys. So pure lead is soft, it is very dense, it is malleable and bluish gray in color. It exhibits high electrical conductivity, low thermal conductivity and high coefficient of thermal expansion and low melting temperature of 320 degrees Celsius. It also exhibits low Young's modulus, low tensile strength, and it is sensitive to creep. Combination of its high density with low stiffness and good damping capacity makes it excellent material for absorbing sound and vibration. So applications, it is used in battery grids, font type metal in printing industry, cable sheeting material for high voltage power cells. It is used as solders, bearings, gaskets, piping for handling corrosive chemicals. It is used as a shield against X-rays. So application of lead bricks are used in reactor radiation shieldings. They are used in lead acid batteries. They are used to make water pipes due to its corrosive resistance. It is used in building industry for roofing, weathering, to prevent water penetrations, etc. So antimony, tin and arsenic are the most common alloying elements. Antimony is used to give greater hardness and strength. Lead tin alloys are most commonly used for their good melting, casting and wetting properties. Lead arsenic is used as sheeting around the electrical power and communication cables for protection of these cables against moisture and corrosion. Another widely used lead alloy is lead antimony tin. It is also called lead based Babbitt metal or white metal, extensively used for the bearings in lubrication. So alloys of lead are solder, like you have seen in the soldering part. It is an alloy of tin and lead used for joining the workpieces. So it is the solder. Solder is one of the alloy of lead. Next, Babbitt metal. It is a lead alloy obtained by adding antimony, tin and arsenic. It is used as a bearing material for crankshafts and axles. Next is lead alloys made out of lead, arsenic, antimony. These are used to make shots for ammunitions of military purposes and for sports purposes. Next is lead antimony alloys used in battery grids, pipes, sheets, etc. Another material is nickel. So pure nickel is hard, strong, ductile, ferromagnetic, silvery gray in color and high melting point of 1453 degrees Celsius. It exhibits excellent resistance to corrosive environment. It retains its strength at high temperature and it has high electrical conductivity. Applications: it is used as electrodes in batteries and fuel cells, in electroplating of corrosive substrates, food processing equipment and chemical processing equipments, manufacturing of electrical and electronic parts, aircraft gas turbines, nuclear power systems, in steam turbine power plants, etc. Nickel is and its alloys are used. So nickel is generally alloyed with copper, chromium and iron. Nickel copper alloys have high strength and toughness over the various range of temperatures. They have good weldability property, they have excellent corrosion resistance. Monel metal consists of 67% nickel and 33% copper. It is used in walls, pumps, marine fixtures, chemical processing equipments, etc. Nickel chromium alloy offers better oxidation resistance and possesses high temperature strength. They are widely used in industrial furnaces, electronic components, high heat exchanger tubing, and for food processing equipment manufacturing. So here are some of the diagrammatic examples for applications of nickel used in food processing equipment, food processing industry. This is a knife cutter that is used in food processing industry. Then you have medical applications in medical equipments. So these are some of the applications of nickel alloy. So with this we have covered the various materials that is covered in the module 4. Thank you.